We're back in DayZ on Xbox Series X, and we're in DayZ Experimental, which is a standalone kind of client that you can download and play. It's a separate game from the main game. And today we're checking out the 1.13 update. You're seeing that in the corner, going over, some of the things that are going to be coming as part of this update, giving you an idea of how it's running, and just kind of talking about the features. So first off, this is a very interesting sort of update. So they're trying a new approach with this thing called DayZ Inland. So what this does is it kind of gives you a specific setup, which will give you a head start. You're spawning more inland and with better gear, allowing you to test features better than ever before. So as you can tell, I got miscellaneous things that I guess allow me to spawn inland and have a better chance of survival. It seems like they've basically just given us food items again. Like a drink and a water. Like they used to give you this stuff right off the bat. Anyways, and then they've kind of plopped you a bit. I think this is inland. Let me see if I can like zoom in and see water or something. I don't know specifically. I can't remember specifically where we are, but I think I've been here before. So anyways, another big part of this is the continued work at basically working on the zombie technology and the zombie AI. So a stealth approach is more viable because of increased noise dampening, lesser ability of infected to hear noise through obstacles, and lowered noise from a player's crouch sprint. Infected are now attracted by smoke grenades, flare gun flares, fireplaces, and explosions, so you can make distractions better. Infected are more likely to leave a position of unconscious players, preventing frustrating cycles of unconsciousness. Gotcha. Because zombies would like constantly knock you down, you get up, and then they attack you again, or they just kill you while you're on the ground. That sort of thing. Reduced range in which infected can call for help from nearby infected. Oh, that should be nice, because usually, you make one town person get all mad, and there's like a whole squadron of zombies that come after you, which is kind of hilarious as well, but a little frustrating. We'll rock the tracksuit for now, I guess. They've also... all infected attacks are now blockable, and overall infected attack speed has been reduced, but not all the way down to levels 1.11. So I guess we're going to try to kind of let this... I was kind of seeing if more zombies would get notified of that zombie getting attacked, but it looks alright. Balancing of damage and bleeding chances dealt by various types of infected, generally scaled according to player progression throughout the world. So I wonder what that means, player progression throughout the world. So when you go to certain spots, zombies are going to do more damage? Is that what that means? Or is it based on like, hey, my player's been around X amount of time and now zombies take damage accordingly? That's interesting. New types of infected. They mostly patrol various points of the interest and have their own strengths and weaknesses. So there are now different types of zombies. That's different. Maybe this is one of them? Seems a little bit tougher. Doing some intense trauma. So I guess there's now different types of zombies. I don't know. Like, I hope it's not like special infected. I mean, they haven't really said that, but I really don't like the idea of special infected in zombie games. In most scenarios, it doesn't really make sense. And, it feels a little less realistic if there's like special infected in DayZ. I mean, like the concept of it, I mean zombies in general is kind of, not realistic, but I'm just saying there's something about having super powered zombie things that throws me out, and it seems like the performance is like a lot worse in the game in this experimental. I mean, it is something for them to test on, but I'm like literally noticing more stutters than normal. That's what I'm trying to get across. Basically, chlorine tablets, those are good for kind of cleaning the water. And they've looked at player versus player combat. Unconscious length is now tied to the caliber of the bullet. The vest no longer covers the arms in the damage system. Shoulders are now part of the chest zone. Previously, arms and hips are part of the torso. Previously, legs. Additionally, we increased shock armor on legs. Okay. Thereby reducing the chances of double punishment in the form of both an unconscious state and a broken leg. So they've kind of changed the balancing of how armor kind of impacts you, I guess. That's interesting. They have introduced the chance for wounds to get infected. Oh my god. As if things weren't bad enough. Wounds can get infected now. Oh god. That's fantastic. Of course, right? They really like making this like a really, I don't know how you describe it, insanely technical game. Like that's crazy to me. So you have to keep an eye on wounds. Damaging disinfected items removes the state and requires applying disinfectant again. And these aren't patch notes. These are like quick kind of like big info things. They've introduced the M16A2 assault rifle. It comes with a burst mode, and they're looking for ways to tweak the burst mode based on feedback from people. That scarecrow kind of scared me. Smaller fireplaces to be lit even under bad conditions, audio-visual cues, some other tweaks, quality of life. I do have some key patch notes that I'm going to be reading over, so if you give me a sec to switch over to that. So we've obviously seen, or well, I just mentioned the Burst Fire Edition. We talked about the M16. They have added the ATOG 6x scope. The 45-round KA-74 magazine has been added. 60-round standardized magazine. Wound treated by unclean rags can get infected. Just kind of mention that. And fever symptoms added to influenza. Added sounds when a character is starving. So now you can hear your character complain about when you're like hungry, which is kind of funny. They also added the Iodine Tincture. Yeah, it definitely seems like the zombies in the vicinity get less alerted by the zombie noises, so that's kind of a benefit. I like that quite a bit. Anyways, the Oriental Machete has been added. They have added a radial blur to the hit effect. Radial blur, okay. And infected are now attracted by, we mentioned this, smoke grenades, flare guns, fireplaces during the nighttime. Oh, so at night they're more attracted. They're actually attracted to fireplaces. That's interesting. That should change our gameplay a little bit. If you've got a fire going, they'll be like, hey. Maybe annoying for some. New special infected types. Okay, here we go. We actually have the information on the infected types. They've added the heavy soldier, the military officer, the runner, and the heavy police zombie. So those are the zombies you're going to be coming across that are now quote-unquote special infected. So that's a little different. I'm assuming the one guy was maybe the runner. Might be actually a better balance, though, having different types of zombies as opposed to having every zombie be like an insane maniac. Oh, say that's the blur effect. It's when I get hit. It kind of pops up there. I mean, it makes sense. It's like a bit of a visceral, like, you've been hit kind of thing. So that's interesting. Bags could be broken down while filled with items. They fix that. I'm just like, I don't want to go through all the patch notes because that's not what we're really doing today. But I'm just kind of trying to like look and see like, hey, this is interesting, or this is something you might want to know, kind of while we're doing this. Grenades but not damaged containers, visors. The infected will now react properly to explosions. Tooltip for attachments displayed in the center of the screen. Okay. Recipe widget was visible and there was no other recipe. I'm glad they fixed that. Actually, what do you think? The handsaw? I mean, I can't ask you, but like thinking if should I do the handsaw or kind of walk with the wrench. Fix animations for prone and erect. Fix the bump in the stairs of the castle. Oh, I've hit that bump before. that's funny. That's a bump I've actually hit in one of the castles since you flying. Oh god, the stutters. I want they're supposed to do the optimized version of the game this year. I hope that's still like, in the plans, if that makes sense. Because they said it was supposed to come out at some point for next gen consoles. Series X is not too bad, but on the PlayStation, you really could use that bump up to 60 would be, quite a treat, I would say, right? PlayStation fans that are maybe checking this out for info. Adjusted player damage zones, we mentioned that. Reduced health damage taken to the arms and stuff, we talked about that kind of. Reduced shock damage taken to the legs, yep. Rebalance infected HP based on their tier and category. These zombies are hurting my feelings. I don't like them. They're not very nice. Anyways, so lower tier civilian lowered by 15%, runner lowered by 50%, soldier increased by 15%. So it kind of sounds like there is special infected, but yet they're kind of just the infected we've already seen, but now they have like special properties to them almost, is what they're kind of talking about. Bleeding chances, noise dampening, we kind of talked about. It is no longer possible to drink or force feed disinfectant or alcoholic tincture. What? Come on. That's like the biggest part of the game. What are you doing out there? The weight of fireplaces from 100 kg to 10 kg. Saws last 50% longer. Ooh. Fishing rods can be crafted now. Cool. Pliers can now open cans. That's how, I mean, it makes sense, right? You'd be able to do that with pliers. Where are we? Oh, we're over here. Okay. I guess we're going down this road. Central economy. Woo! Spawning 25% fewer vehicle parts. I mean, vehicles weren't hard enough to find as it is. I think we're finding a lot of repetitive parts. I don't know if I like that, though. It's like already hard enough to deal with like car driving in this game. Making it harder to find parts just seems like a pain. Like, every time I see a new update for this game, it's like something is a little bit more tedious, you know? Like, less new stuff and more, like, tedious things they're adding. Weapon spawning with magazines will now have at least one bullet. Assault rifles spawn only with basic attachments. Fixed spawning values of the Pioneer rifle. Dirt bike helmets now spawn with mouthguard and visor attached. Plate carrier vests are only found on infected soldiers in a badly damaged state. Oh, and in a badly damaged state. K-74 rifles are no longer counted in hoarder-type containers to match the newly added M16A2. Adjusted spawn points for shipping containers and the village church. Reduced random quantity for the vitamin bottles. Yay! Again, sounds like a bit of an annoyance. Oh, we're over here. Okay. Yeah, I know where we are. Doesn't seem that inland. All I know is I keep starving. But, got spite? Oh, that guy's got spite for me. So many zombies. So little time. Oh my god. They're always wanting to take a snack of me. Which I don't like. Server changes, known issues. But I think that's kind of the gist of like the big things that they've kind of changed in the game. Like without reading straight patch notes, which we'll save for when, you know, they release the full patch notes for the game. Because these are like, you know, partial patch notes. They test and they play around with this stuff and it changes right ahead of the launch. These aren't necessarily all features that are going to make it in or features that are going to be the same. So it's kind of just like telling you the highlighted points of, hey, this is what they're looking at doing, this is the direction the game's headed. That was mainly what I was trying to do here. And I just, like, I don't really see anything else that's like, whoa, wow, that's too wildly intensive there in regards to different changes as well. Seems like the infected are a lot faster. I could usually, like, that must be a runner. You know, I could usually get away pretty easily, but they, okay, well, that didn't work. But she's, like, on my ass. Jeez. Yeah, I'm, like, dying here. My only hope is to throw a glow stick. Oh god, that's funny. But yeah, I'm not really seeing any other like notes that really seem too helpful. Just a lot of like smaller fixes, small changes to things, like lighting fires, changing durability of stuff. Yeah. I mean, if I've missed anything and, you know, other people like know a lot more about this, like, you know, specific changes in this DayZ update, I'm all ears about it, but it's just like, you know, what it sounds like the biggest things are small additions and, you know, basically different tiers and changes to the way that we fight, you know, the infected. That's for sure. But other than that, yeah, kind of 1.13 on the experimental. It's always nice to be back visiting the game, I guess, and seeing what's new. You know, what's changed, and obviously, you know, towards the 1.13 update, we'll have a, you know, proper, like, we'll do a live stream, we'll do a patch notes video, and then a review of the update too, so you can get an idea of, like, hey, this is where the game is headed, and you just get a better idea of, like, the content changes and stuff like that within the game at that time. But that's really just kind of seeing, you know, what they're doing with the game at this point on the consoles. At least we're getting a good amount of updates. Like, I'm trying to think how many updates we're actually seeing this year, because I remember they were saying several, and then they said, like, what, 5 updates or something, and we're at, like, update 3 or 4 now, or something along those lines. So, you know, we're pushing through these updates pretty fast, so we'll see what's coming in the future. And as always, there's probably likely to be more DayZ action down the road. You'll never know what pops up when we try to survive in this game. I was just kind of hoping for more, like, intense and like, different types of features. Like, you know, I don't know, something more interesting mechanics-wise instead of just having to keep dealing with, like, further and furtherly tedious additions and changes to the game. It just sounds exhausting every time I read the notes. It's like, oh no, this other thing's gonna kill me. But that's what DayZ's all about. Billions of ways for you to die. I should actually make a video like that. All the ways to die in DayZ. That might be fun.